Greetings, scholars. Welcome to the Chapter 1 lecture, Marketing Strategy. Uh, I'm using the 8th edition. Probably use the 7th edition if you want to. And you can ignore Chalky White. I used to have audio embedded into this, but I decided to record it as a video instead. I left Chalky up there because Michael Williams is one of America's greatest actors of the last decade, in my opinion, and it's the right opinion. So with that said, let's start with what is strategy? If you've had me before, you know that I'm prone to say at this point that strategies and tactics are different. And we know that a strategy is typically longer term. A tactical plan or a tactic is shorter term. So the rule of thumb I like to use is a strategy would be a year or more, and a tactic would be something that you would want to accomplish in less time than that. So this course being marketing strategy, we're going to be talking about strategy, obviously. But I'll mention tactics as we move along. But what we're interested in is the 30,000-foot view of what is a strategy, how to put it, what are the different things we need to know, different things we need to ask as we're putting a strategy together and moving forward. So that's definitional, which you can read on your own. So what are some components? Scope, how big or how wide or how focused is our scope? What are our goals and objectives? A lot of people think, well, that's easy. Well, maybe. Maybe our goal is to put a store, as a business objective, our goal is to put a store in all 50 states. Or maybe it's not. Maybe that's too ambitious a goal and it kills us in distribution costs. Maybe our goal is to increase sales. Well, should we increase sales and increase profits, or are we just looking to increase sales and we'll worry about the profits later? You get the point. Resource deployments. Do we have what we need to be able to do what we want? How are they deployed now? What are our resources? Do we have any sustainable competitive advantages we can identify? Competitive advantage is not enough. I use an example of two gas stations across the street from each other. One of them lowers the price of gas by 2 cents. They have a competitive advantage over the competitor across the street until the competitor lowers his or her price by 2 cents, in which case their advantage evaporates. The difference between a competitive advantage and a sustainable one is one that is typically revolves around, do we have some sort of technology or process or product or something that's hard to duplicate, that just nobody can get into the business tomorrow and do the same thing easily. It'd be great if they couldn't do it at all, or if they can't do it easily, that might work. That's a sustainable competitive advantage, one that'll hold. And then synergy. That's a term that annoys a lot of people, including me, a lot of times. But it is a concept that's worthy of discussion. So, as you know, I like to define it as 1 + 1 = 3. That's some bad math. But the point is that you and I together are better, or can be better than you and I separate. So do we have any of those things in our firm or our company, any kind of, that we can create any synergy in our marketing strategy between different parts of the company, or maybe an outside vendor, something where the end result is greater than the components that we put into it. So we're going to be talking in this class primarily because of the name, marketing strategy, right? Which is different than corporate strategy. Corporate strategy is even broader than the marketing strategy. But we're going to be looking at how do we allocate our marketing resources and our actions to accomplish the objectives of the firm, whatever those are, right? Whatever that's been decided upon within a specific product market. Okay. So, market oriented management, or the marketing concept, which is on page 11, which we all learned about in our principles and other courses, is essentially starting with the customer. What's the customer or consumer looking for? What are they looking to solve? What problems do they have that we can help them with? And then working back from there, which is different than, say, the production concept or the selling concept. But do all firms and businesses operate using the marketing concept? Well, no. Many do, and nearly all the successful ones do. But maybe it doesn't apply to everybody, but it should be our starting point. Can we incorporate the marketing concept or market-oriented management into the firm? So, starting at the bottom with this strategic inertia. It's the old "if it's not broke, don't fix it" lines you've heard so many people use. But is that really true? Well, not all the time, because one thing that you know is certain in life and certain in business is change. Change happens, whether you want it to or not. So I ask a kind of a rhetorical question down here at the bottom. Do customers' needs and competitive offerings change over time? Absolutely. At one point in time, there was one quick oil change place somewhere in the country. One opened up, right? And they were the first, but many more have opened up because customers demanded them, and they demanded extra services out of them as well. So if we go back up to different development stages across industries and global markets, that'll mediate the strategic role of marketing in the firm, because competitive factors affect the firm's market orientation all the time, and it changes. Consumers change from age 15 to age 25 to age 55. Now, if the entire population is aging that way, the macro, the effect on that is going to affect what consumers and customers want to have. So we always would rather be a little proactive than reactive, more proactive than reactive, I should have said, because things change. Absolutely, McDonald's doesn't just sell hamburgers and French fries and milkshakes anymore like they once did. Now they have all sorts of stuff, right, including iced coffees and salads and muffins and various other things. So let's look at the difference between a production-oriented firm and a market-oriented firm. You can read these on your own, but let's look at pricing. If we sell staples or salt or something, we're probably going to say, okay, what does it cost us to generate a pound of salt, including the raw materials and labor to produce it and get it in a bag and package up ready to sell? Let's put 25% on that. Or let's put 20% on that. That's not the way Apple prices their products. If they only took the components and labor that went into an iPhone and put 25% on it, that'd be a lot cheaper than they are. But they don't price them that way. They price it on the perceived benefits provided, because consumers typically buy based on benefits, not features, right? Some consumers are interested in the features, but most wouldn't understand them if they were explained to them. So Apple knows that the product is worth more than its components, or they've added parts, 1 plus labor, 1 equals 3, and they price it that way. If we look at product offering, we say, okay, what are we set up to sell? We say, well, tennis rackets. Well, let's make tennis rackets and then, sell the stew out of them. Other companies say, what are people interested in? What sort of products would solve a problem or take care of an issue for a consumer? Let's make that solve a problem, and people will buy that. So you see, it starts from the customer backwards. This production orientation starts in the warehouse forwards, or the plant, and you can see promotion, credit, packaging here as well. Packaging, depending on what you're selling, you don't really need to have a real sexy package, if you're selling something in bulk or whatever. But I'll go back to Apple. Think about their packaging, how attractive it is, what it looks like. They spend time designing not only what everything looks like, the product, but also what the packaging looks like. Because they have a marketing orientation. They're looking to solve problems for customers. So we're not going to write a marketing plan in this course, but you need to know what one is, because I'll ask some exam questions about it. Marketing plan is different than a business plan. Okay, the marketing portion of a business plan is what we're talking about here. And there's several, this is definitional, which you should know. And there's several parts. The executive summary, which you write last. After you do all this, after you do everything else, then you write the executive summary, and you have to keep in mind that that's all the executive might read, right? That you want to make it to the point and parsimonious in nature, not using more words than you need to. But these are the typical components of a marketing plan, where you would assess all of these things, all the way down to how are we going to measure and control what we're doing so that we know what we're doing is either working or not working. Because if you don't measure something, then it doesn't matter. The old concept, you measure what matters. If your boss says, well, we really are interested in this, I want you to spend all your time on this, but they don't measure it, then it really doesn't matter. And a good outgrowth of controls is, what if things are going wrong? What are our plans to fix it before it puts us out of business? So let's talk about these top four in red, kind of section 1, starting with the executive summary. These are some questions you would ask. Well, what business are we in? And how do we describe it? And that seems easy enough, but is it? If you say, well, we're in the trucking business, well, are you? Will you haul anything? Well, no, we don't haul liquefied natural gas. Okay, then you're not in the trucking business. Maybe you only haul refrigerated food items. Okay, then you're in the refrigerated food distribution business. You see, if you think about a business more than on its surface, that's the way you need to think about it to decide and to be able to describe what business you're in. Are you interested in coming up with new products for existing customers, or new customers for the products you have, or new to the world products that nobody else has? I added that. What are your goals and objectives? We just want to get sales up because we're a new product and we want people to buy it and use it. We'll worry about profits later. Okay. Or we're worried about profitability. We don't care so much about sales growth if our profits improve. So let's raise the greens fees on the golf course so we have fewer rounds played, which requires less maintenance, and we don't have to have as many people working in maintenance, and our profitability will go up with fewer rounds played. That's a legitimate goal, or what you might want to do. Return on investment, market growth, or some combination of all those, depending on what stage your business is in and what what it is that you want to do. Who is your competition? Important to know. You know, if you're the Chattanooga Lookouts, who's your competition? The Atlanta Braves? Maybe. But your real competition is other things that a family of four can do that cost about the same thing. Family entertainment, right? If you think about your if Hardee's thinks about their competition, it's not just McDonald's, right? It's other things. How have we done in the past? Do we know? We've had goals and objectives in the past. Did we meet? Did we make them? Not make them? What are we currently doing? How's it working? What are we measuring? Can I see all those quarter by quarter for the last 5 years? Are we measuring the right things? Etc. And come back to competitive advantage. What are ours? And are they sustainable? Or do we always have to keep adding things to our detergent to make it a little bit better than the next one because it's just detergent? Uh, do we need to be thinking about packaging, not just the detergent, not just the product itself, and where we sell it? Things like that. And do we have any sustainable competitive advantage that we can really go to the bank on, make bank with? Is there any way in the company where we can work with other parts of the business and create even a better, uh, more valuable, more value added situation than what we have now? And you would always do a SWOT analysis, which everyone should be familiar with. And how are our resources allocated? Is everybody in the company fighting for the same piece of pie? And if it's doled out that way, using what measures? Return on investment, efficiencies, whatever. Is it a good plan? Are we allocating resources the right way? Maybe we could come up with a better way. Maybe what we're doing is great. I don't know. If you look at in chapter 12, there's kind of an example, more detailed description of that which you should be familiar with. You should know what a marketing plan is and the components of it and the things you want to know when you're putting one together. All right. So with that said, that will wrap up chapter 1, marketing strategy, and I will see you back here for our next exciting episode of marketing strategy.